Beka and I wanted to share some fashionable thoughts with you guys and, about obviously Frankie, but his journey and why we're here in Abu Dhabi. And thank you as well, Adio, for hosting us as well. We appreciate, And yes, so we're going to start this panel, my dear.
Yeah.
You ready?
Let me say hi to everyone.
Yes.
Thank you for coming, for Gaëlle, first of all, and for me, for joining our talk. I'm honestly very happy to be here, finally, because as much as I travel the world the past few years, especially almost every week, I've never been to Dubai or Abu Dhabi before. And when Gaëlle sent me this invitation a few months ago, and we talked about that, I was super happy, and because of her and because of the chance to have a chance to come here, because it feels that the people, the region and the people are really special and very close to me. And I have already lots of friends who live here and who I see most of them in Europe. So finally happy to be here. But first of all, I want to start with the congratulations to Gaëlle for this milestone of her empire, little empire. I think that she's building, because we were just talking before this talk, because we all like to talk.
Yeah.
And this is one of the warnings, because we told to each other we should stop each other, because at some point you could end up being here for a few hours if we continue in our usual pace.
For sure. Guys, feel free to stop us, okay?
Yeah, so I was telling her and asking if she actually realized how far she went from that very first store that she opened 10, 11 years ago. And we kind of shared a similar thing, that me with my page or brand, since I'm doing this for 3.5 years now, sometimes when I stop and look back at the moment where everything that happened, that's when I'm realizing that how much has happened. So I think this is something that we share with each other.
For sure.
And like passion for work.
Yes.
And dedication, and what I know about you, not just from you, but it just feels, and from other people who work around you, that you really did it all yourself. So that is something that is very...
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you again for having me. And as a former ABC correspondent, journalist, if you did not know, I'm happy to be changing partly the roles with Gaëlle. So she will be asking the questions to me today. Obviously, I can have counter questions with her.
Yes.
But I'm happy to be under your investigation, because she was doing the investigation journalism at that time. Yes. So maybe she can tell us more about that later.
Be careful, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I investigated all of you before this talk. No, yes, it's such a pleasure. And yes, I used to be a journalist, and I understand the power of storytelling. I understand the power of marketing. I understand the power of saying something through your clothes as well. And hopefully this is the reason why we're here today. And you understand the power as well of wording through snippets that are so smart and being, screenshot all over the world. So congratulations as well.
Thank you.
To your success, well deserved. Hard work pays off, and we are living.
Pays and pays off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. This is the first one, guys. Please take note, okay? All right, so let's start, I guess, about your journey. But tell me, how does this happen? How did you take off now,
First of all, how far do you want me to go?
When you were a baby,
Yeah, no. So I will, probably this is the question that I've answered the most in the last 3 years. So every time my answer of this is shorter and more sophisticated and more edited, because I cut out the details that are not that relevant. Because at the beginning, when I was asked this question, I was excited to tell about each day of, since I was basically born, how I was grown up in Georgia and then moved to France, and then I'm traveling around the world. So I will say that I never studied fashion. I studied business management at the university in Tbilisi, in Georgia, where I was born and raised. And I lived there for 31 years. And last 2 years, I moved to Paris. Why business management? Because that time when I started, when my university year came, it kind of felt like that fashion would not be a serious job or profession. Well, first of all, I wanted to be a journalist, but looking around, I knew that I would not make like a good life out of journalism, especially in Georgia at that time. And I decided to follow like some of my friends, and we all decided to move to the capital of Georgia in Tbilisi, and we started the business management, financing, and then a little bit of marketing and management. This was the time when first I discovered fashion more deeply, in a way, meaning that I discovered fashion magazines. I started collecting them, and all the money that I was giving at the time from my parents, I was spending in fashion magazines to buy them, and especially coming from their covers, where I would see models like her.
Yes.
And basically my obsession was first from the models, then models on the magazines, and then actually the format of the magazines that attracted me. So I started collecting magazines, and I have a collection of more than 1,000 copies at my home in Georgia still, which my father still don't understand why I need. So he put far away from like the first in other home, then in our countryside, then in other countryside. So it's moved far and far away. So at the end, probably it will end up in my farthest from my actual home. So it will come to my home in Paris, I hope. So then I had let's say 5 years of working in fashion industry in Georgia, where I was working for the fashion brands, where I was helping them to create the content, to develop the collection, but like to give them direction, not the design, but to tell them what would be more, how to say, like successful maybe on the market, to make it a bit more commercial, then to shoot the campaigns, to take care about social media, online shop and everything. Then 5 more years, so I did with one brand specifically this for 5 years. Then another 5 years, I had a creative agency that was titled Arial Bold, like a font in the computer that you all use.
Arial Bold, guys.
So it was like
the power of fonts.
Yeah, and the words, because we were trying to make normal things to look bold, and we did some fun stuff in Georgia. Then COVID came. I had no more jobs left, so I was just spending all my savings that I had from these Arial Bold times. And once when I rewatched and reread everything that I loved about fashion, and I watched all the fashion shows and fashion movies and everything, then fashion shows started slowly to come back to the reality. Yeah. So the guests started to go to the fashion shows, and I went and read that fashion shows were being reviewed in a way that it was always, so there was no excitement. So I was watching the fashion show, and I was reading the review about the fashion show like it was before, and everyone was talking, oh, how happy they are to go back to the shows, but the talk was the same. So at some point I realized that I wanted to have some excitement about fashion, and when I found no one talking in that way, I thought maybe I would be the one who would create the excitement back into the fashion.
The new voice of fashion.
Since I had no access to any fashion shows in terms of like I could not be there, I could not take fashion photos or videos, and I did not want to copy pictures coming from other publications.
Yeah.
And since I always loved fonts and layouts, I decided that maybe the caption that we always put to describe our pictures on social media would be an actual picture. So to move caption on the picture, and I honestly started it to kill my lazy time and to create for my fun, and all the other projects also that I did in my life that I started for my own fun and or for my own entertainment.
Blue to begin with?
Yes.
It's always been blue?
Yeah, it was always been blue. And
Mr. Klein, everyone.
Yeah. Well, today, actually, Tamu was asking me that some people know and some people don't know that actually it's as much as StyleNotCom is the answer, like nostalgic answer of the StyleNotCom website that was our main source of information in the past. Blue comes from the Colette store, which was shut down in 2017, and it was the only fashion store where I wanted to go, and I specifically used to book my hotels next to Colette store when I used to travel to Paris, because I had an excuse to go all the time here, because it was a place where I would connect people with the same mind as I had. So that's why I took the color, made it a bit more brighter to be more catchy online, and blue was honestly my favorite color since the beginning. So my parents always used to buy blue clothes for me, and I love all the shades of blue.
Yes.
So that is how like I mixed my two nostalgies, Colette and StyleNotCom in one. So that's
Love it.
Yeah.
It's really, you have, I mean, you have in front of you, I guess, two fashion lovers,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
We really love fashion. We love magazines. We love storytelling, as I said, but anything that's behind a fashion show as well, the creatives. So, and this is what you try to translate as well with a sense of humor. And that's another thing we have in common.
Yeah.
Sense of humor.
Yeah.
Or quite funny.
Yeah. Well, I hope.
Yes.
Because I always say that in Georgia, it's known that besides some of the best food in the world, we have Georgians have a good humor. And that's one of the things that saved us from all the troubles that we went through all the years and decades of all the invasions from around the world. But this is always, at the end of the day, we always looked everything in a way that it will pass by. So let's make maybe a fun of it. Let's cheer at each other up. So this is, and especially the region I'm coming from Georgia, it's known as the city and the region with the best humor. So it honestly, it really organically comes there, and I like to to blend jokes and humor and bit of sarcasm and irony, but stay in a polite way, to be always respectful. And I hope I never cross this line. And to be also, to consider that if I'm traveling around the world, when I'm doing the research of something that is local, I try to find something that is also not offensive to someone, because you have to have a local cultural reference. That's why it's even sometimes it's all natural these days. Sometimes when I travel in some specific places, I have to fact check maybe some word that I would say, and it would be something funny in France. It's not as funny in somewhere else. But organically, it comes organically, and usually it's my last slide when I post, and people always wait what is written on the last slide, because this is kind of a ending slide of the storytelling. I always want it to be, sometimes it's super serious when I'm talking about some financial data of the company. At the end, it just comes to me that I have to make a joke about it, but so far I had no problem about that.
You play with words.
Yeah.
It's not just joke.
Yeah.
But so I'm wondering, so when you write something, how long does it take you? Because every time I have conversation with you, I feel like in 2 seconds I have the best quote, and I'm like, damn, I wish I came up with that. It's like,
you remember when we had a very drunk night, so I said he could create she doesn't drink. So we were joking that she could create a capsule about the drunky show.
The drunky show.
We were very drunk that night. Yes. And so, I mean, it just comes because so before I even launched this page and before I created this cap, I always wore caps all the time. And I always wanted to have some cap that would be a bit more different than the usual logo caps. So I always played with the words, and it was coming naturally, because I remember when my grandfather used to buy lots of newspapers daily, and I was still like 3-4 years old, when I could already read more or less properly in Georgian, obviously, and bit of English as well, because that's where they teach us from the very first years at school.
oh, wow.
And it was like the priority language in Georgia already in '97 when I went to school. Yes. And sometimes he would discover that I would delete some letters from the titles of the articles and replace them with others, so to recreate the new titles, or like paint something on top of it to change the meaning of the titles. But it was something that I was attracted. So big bold letters and writings and the smart words and smart letters would always attract me from the childhood. And even at the schools, I was one of the best ones to write the essays. And I remember when I passed the national exams in Georgia to pass at the university, I got one of the highest points in the country.
Whoa.
When I got because it was something about kind of a political science in a way, but I turned the topic completely upside down in a way that it kind of sounded funny. It was not a fun topic, but I got I remember 25.5 out of 26, which was already good. And ever since, when my friends would have wanted to oh, can you write down some our caption on Instagram, because we want to make some fun post, or the birthday wish for someone, so it would naturally come to me. So this is the time when at the end, created a business out of it. So it's just coming because of lots of reading from my childhood, lots of reading of anything, lots of watching of television. Yes. So my curiosity, I think, all blended in each other. So even the words, when I see the words, it's just coming super quickly. Like today, when they suddenly finally announced Jonathan Anderson's half appointment at Dior,
I've been waiting for this.
Yes. And I had to write it because everything that came to me in like 15 seconds, basically, I wrote it down. Then I went to the hotel just to check it, like the fact check of
So you
some
haven't
numbers.
even know the book, you just do script.
Yeah, I do in the notes. Sometimes I do directly on a slide if it's a short topic, but if it's a long topic, I need more time for research. So it's more like go to the spell check, grammar check. But during Fashion Week, it should be like off the moment. So it's always something. Sometimes I'm sitting like, what I'm gonna say about the show or about this collection, and suddenly, then I see someone here saying something, and then it suddenly builds up the entire sentence. So it comes up the whole entire angle, how I should cover the show. So it's really off the moment and off the location, mostly.
Power of the mind as well. But I think you generally very interested in designers, in the creative direction, in graphics and image. So it's definitely, I mean, not to say the business of fashion, but it kind of is.
Yeah,
you know?
business of fashion.
Business
Yeah.
of fashion. There you go.
Yeah.
Another one. So how do you explain the success after that? Like, if obviously you start like writing snippets and like, but then look at you today. What should we do to become?
Main word that I would say is always a dedication, because maybe in my case, it feels like it happened quickly, but when they understand that I already worked in the background of fashion for 12, 13 years since I was like 19 years old, and because of all the backstage and background work that I did before this, this is kind of a result of that, and I never gave up in a way that I had so many nights and days when I would not go to home. And my boss that time, the designer I was working with, she was coming and checking if there was a light still up on atelier, and she would come and shut down the lights to tell me like, just go home, because I was counting some like wholesale prices, which I'm sure you are very familiar with, and to check the fabric pricing and to make because I was
I don't think people know that about you.
And I was doing that, so I had my own Frankie shop in a way, because I had to have a shop and then create the pop-up and then invite the people and create all of this that you do. So, and I always felt that it would bring me somewhere where I was always dreaming, and I'm really a dreamer guy. And if you put a little bit of, more than a little bit of work with your dreams, I know that dreams come true.
Yeah.
So that's like lots of dreaming, dedication of the work. And every time I say that, the feeling of something going and being somewhere at the right time, right place is always good. And every time I have this motto that I say to everyone is always try, because every time I tried, it always worked. And every time I did not try, I realized that I lost something. So this is something that sometimes I was super shy to go to ask something to someone, but then they were so nice to respond to me, to help to me. So this is one of my quote that I always use. So, and I always try.
Yes. It's like the silliest questions are the one you never ask.
Yeah.
Always remember that. So it's the power of storytelling. Do you want to talk about this as well?
Well, my storytelling, again, it's just about the power of the words, because I always say that depending who says and what says and what time can make bigger impact than any image or the video, which are very impactful. But sometimes it feels like every image has been taken, every video has been taken, even if there is always something new that you can find. But the power of the words that you see, that how it can wake you up or completely kill you in a way, if coming from someone. And I think we all had this experience coming from our close people or in a career wise. This is the main way that keeps me going, because as much as I have enough words, even if I don't know English as I would love to know, and sometimes people say that they understand my storytelling because I make it so simple and understandable for them, because I just don't know those hard, long words in English, what they mean. So I try to make it more simple, and it does not sound journalistic, I know, but that's the way I talk, and I will continue doing this because that's the way people understand.
Exactly. You're talking the same way as
Yeah,
well.
and even if in my case I have words to say, I think that the way of expression of storytelling is so much different. And I can say that in your case, this is not just clothes, but the world that you create. And my counter question to you is, do you think that are you telling the stories with what you do, and how you do that?
The power of storytelling.
Yes.
I mean, hopefully I do that through clothes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's definitely a journey, you know. You start somewhere and then you never really know where it's going to take you. But like you said, go for it.
Yeah.
Try it. You know, the worst thing that can happen is you tried it, you fail. Well, then you know what? I'll try again, something else. Yeah. At least I learned something from my mistake, obviously. But yes, to me, clothes just like an accessories of yourself, of how you want to portray yourself every day. How do you want to show up to the world? You know, sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel like down. It doesn't mean that you should dress appropriately. So I'm here to just give you some tools, you know, to just create some outfits that are easy, but nothing is empowering you more than those. It's just a power shoulder, a blazer. So I just think thanks to clothing, we can feel better about ourselves. We can feel a little bit more empowered, and we can say something about ourselves. So it's the first thing you see. It's like this facade. This is the first thing you see. Okay. The first impression is very important. So I think you cannot walk in life without taking this into consideration. I'm sure the first sentence that you choose for your post, if it's a carousel, for example, is very, very, very thoughtful.
The title.
Yes.
And since you already have the title of your story is The Frankie Shop, what does the word Frankie actually means?
Frankly speaking.
Yes. Tell us frankly.
I mean, I just like to...
Because I even Googled and it has so many meanings.
Oh my God.
I want to hear from you.
Frankie, by the way, is trademarked everywhere. I have Frankie Garage in China. I have Frankie, I mean, you name it. I don't know if this was a wise choice, by the way, but I did it anyway. I just love the first name, Frankie. And I just love the fact that you couldn't tell who she or he was. It could be, you know, a man, a woman. I just didn't want people to put a label on you just by, you know, knowing your name. I really wanted people to meet you first, and then they can tell who you are. So really, Frankie was, I had to put the and shop because Frankie was impossible, okay? So it's the Frankie, and there's only one. Yes. It's mine.
Yes.
No, so that's where Frankie is coming from, and it works in every language as well. You know, it's kind of something that's even here in Abu Dhabi, you understand. So I think it was just an easy way to create this character that was a bit like, you know, interesting, but you don't really know who she or he is. And that's kind of where the storytelling starts.
Yeah, because you always say and you always mention in your talks or interviews that this is basically, it's a character, but it's a character of the real people and real women and now men.
Yes.
And this is the people that you always see actually on Frankie Shop, and the best advertising campaign of the Frankie Shop is the customer.
Exactly.
And it's so genius to be so, how to say, like rely on them and to show them and to show the actual customer, because that's where the people connect with. And I wonder, I always actually wanted to ask this to you, was it something that you thought like, oh, that's gonna be something like the cool marketing plan, so it's kind of for free as well? If the people just post their stories and then you just repost them in a way, and this is a free marketing that you get, or you just saw like few really well-dressed girls and guys and it's like, I will repost them? Because when you go to the Frankie Shop stories, the line of the stories is like, it's endless, because you get like 20, 30 stories each day.
Yeah.
And it's the people who are so different from each other, but they are such a Frankie character with the color, with the silhouettes. did that happen? And it's such a big part of your storytelling.
Oh, it's a huge part of my storytelling. Everything about Frankie is about people who wear it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. I don't like being here, actually. Sorry, guys. Because it's not really about me. I've always featured people who wear what we make, what we design. And it's very much like styling. You know,
You told me.
inspiration.
Gaëlle once told me, I don't sell clothes, I sell style and styling.
Exactly.
Which is true.
Everyone makes it its own. Like, you know, I don't push people to wear things that I make. I just hope that they will adjust it, take it, and make it their own. And this is why somehow organically, I could see these women wearing certain pieces a certain way. And I was like, this is so interesting. I wish I thought about this. So really the styling of what we design is so important. And there's so many ways to do it. So why not feature people, you know, who are actually giving you a little share of their private life as well.
Yes.
You know, they tag you. Instagram obviously made it possible because let's face it, before Instagram, it was a little difficult to get people's pictures. But now when I started seeing, and you know, you could be wearing a Celine bag, a Chanel bag, a Frankie bag, or whatever. To me, it was the universe that this person was sharing is the most interesting part. And I really want Frankie to be about that. It's not about a full look. It's about like little pieces here and there. You bring them to your closet and you make them work with other things you own. And I remember featuring photos with like Hermes bag. And at first everybody was like, what is she doing? She promoting another brand. I'm like, yeah, I'm promoting a lot. I don't believe in like, you know, full look. I think I love this bag. I wish I designed that bag, but I didn't. But you know what? Yes, you should be buying this bag because it looks perfect with this outfit. So it's just an ode to styling and fashion because we can't make everything. I don't make everything. I just hope I make little things here and there that will help your daily life, your fashionable daily life, and just help you look put together.
I can tell about my example because it took Gaëlle almost 2 years to bring me to her store in Paris because I am never.
He lives in Paris.
Once in a year, we have this meeting. Usually it's during the start of the winter time. I go there and she's a super generous woman. She just tells you like, pick whatever you like. And so at the end, I end up going, I always say like, Beka, you should take just one pair of trousers, one jacket, one knitwear, but I end up 3 of them each, mostly. And then when she sees something I'm doubting about, I go to home and it's already there. She's sending me to that. But what I want to tell you, I really see lots of people with lots of people, and I like to wear more like easy stuff. I don't wear like crazy clothes, but every time I go to you and you give me that trouser, that like knitwear with the zip, or the coats that you gave me, the gray and black coats, you remember them?
Yeah.
I am stopped, I can tell you, in the streets, asking from the people, from fashion designers, when I'm asking them for interviews, then they look like, especially it's about the pants and the knitwear that you give me, and they tell me like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is such a good quality. What is this? And I answer them, and when I say Frankie shop, they were like, oh my God, we love Frankie shop. So I honestly get this response from so many people, and it kind of looks like clothes that you can find anywhere, but actually you don't. It feels like, oh, this is so trendy, but it's not. So how do you make all these off-the-moment modern clothes not look so trendy and not like other retailers, let's say, more or less your competitors, even if you still are kind of a niche store that is not so big, not so expanded, and we love this like coziness of it.
Very much.
How do you make it happen that it looks very off the moment, but it's never another t-shirt or never another knitwear?
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky part. There's a lot of fitting, loads of fitting.
And it have incredible cut, and I know about this pattern cutters, especially for men's that you have from Korea and all that you mentioned.
Yes. Korea has always been a big influence for me because Korea was also one of the first country to allow me to make a very short run because I never I never tried to, first of all, I didn't have the means, I didn't have the money. So, you know, when you need to make like 20, 30 pieces, there's not that many places, and there's not that many places who understand volume and tailoring, because it's all about the right volume, the right silhouette. You know, can it be super oversized or just a little bit less? So I think it's very much about that. I mean, I am feeding myself with so many images all the time, and I'm really inspired, and just a slight movement in the pen, just a slight shoulder pads, maybe a little wider here and there, can change a silhouette. So I think it's what it is. It's I don't pretend to be, you know, Alexander McQueen, but I do try to do everyday clothes with a little bit of something that will make you stand out. Again, that first moment when you meet someone is important. So I want to be there for that.
And you make this for me, and I'm sure for many people. And when I have people coming to Paris who are not my friends, who cannot afford luxury clothes, but they want to look good and they understand what is good clothing, I sent many of them to Frankie shop. They were like, oh my God, you just saved us, because after that, they just became crazy to shop online. They were like, Beka, we just want like a normal black dress and we cannot find it anywhere. Or if you find it's like more than 3K. And then suddenly they were like, just go to Frankie shop, and they want to go to any other store where they will see all of the girls wearing the same. So you have this unique touch that you attract all these girls, and not just my friends, but some of them even like people who know how to dress well. And one of them is one of the examples that you always say, and I tell the people, go girls, and maybe we'll even bump up Victoria Beckham shopping there for you. So tell them the story, how you suddenly were crossing the street, entering in your store, and you see entire Beckham family shopping in your store.
Yeah, well, first they told me David Beckham is on the first floor. I was like, what? So yeah, Victoria, okay, but David, hello. So I run to the store, and it was Fashion Week, so obviously I was there, because that's one thing you need to understand about like hard working. It's like, you know, you need to meet as well your customers. You need to meet the women that come to you. You need to understand what they want, and being in the store is very important, first of all. So I'm usually around. I'm usually packing as well. You can see me behind, like, you know, this is the crazy lady packing the clothes. But then, yes, and then on my way to the store, I see Victoria downstairs, and I'm like, ah. And then you don't know, because she's here on a private visit, so you don't want to be, you know, but I did obviously introduce myself, say hello. And she's like, yes, a lot of my friends wear your clothes. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Well, let me know if I can help you. And it was a Saturday, the worst day. During Fashion Week, there was a line outside. I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? How do I make this look seamless? And then, you know, she just chatted for a little bit. She was very nice, very nice. She's actually quite funny. I would recommend the documentary. I'm sure you guys saw it, the Beckhams. She is the funny one. She is very funny. So yeah, it was a pinch me moment for sure, for sure. I mean, Spice Girls, this is my time.
I know. And without even Victoria Beckham, then you have lately, while building your brand and making Frankie Shop not just another clothing shop, but the brand has now values.
Yeah.
And it's, how to say, like little details to recognize yourself. You like to surprise all of us and kind of shock us. Suddenly you have a campaign, and we see like Debbie Moore starring in the campaign, and suddenly there is an announcement that Marina Abramovic wearing Frankie Shop exclusively made for her. And then you have all these collabs popping up, and we come to see your windows, and you have the collaborations with different artists.
He did his homework. Huh?
Yeah. And well, I mean, I know, and I follow the brand, and I'm a customer. So even if I come to you once in a year to your shop, I see you, so I see what you do. So how important all these people, all these collaborations, all these little surprises and shocks that you do for us? Well, obviously, I mean, honestly, it's also part of the marketing too.
Yeah,
but
of course.
How important is it for you to build the brand, and what's the value that they add to you, all the names that are very surprising for me to be associated with you from the start?
Thank you, thank you. No, I mean, to be honest with you, everything again happened organically.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is due to women's tale. Women have been, you know, amazing, and I meet so many amazing women, and a lot of you are here tonight. Thank you. And the story behind all these campaigns or collab is very, very, very organic again. It's not like I have the means of LVMH or caring, you know, I'm like, you know, hey, it's me, Frankie. So, but then through like other women's obviously introducing through like a project as well. If you, for Demi, for example, it was very much like an art project that we did with Crosby.
How difficult it was to get her? Or she was like...
It was, it was through another group of women, of stylists. So it was almost like an art project. And she, obviously, I got her right before she went like, boop. So,
Yes.
I love, I mean, I think she's an amazing talent as well. And she also is a badass girl. And what she did in Hollywood back in the days where men were like, you know, like definitely deciding for everything. I think you should acknowledge, and I'm kind of attracted, let's face it, to this kind of women, of power ladies. I think, guys, we can do it all, and no one has to tell us what to do. And she expressed that feeling to me. So to me, I wanted to also work with a talent that somehow, you know, you reach a certain age and people forget a little bit. And I'm like, hell no, you look amazing. We gotta, and she came to the store before. She had come to Frankie. So it's not something that happened through, you know, just money or marketing. Like I said, it was very much like meetings and collaboration. So I think, and Marina, same thing, her stylist, who is not her stylist, by the way, is a friend, and is this beautiful boy who I met in the opening of our store, in a pop-up store in LA.
Yes.
And I see this person, this blonde Italian boy, tall, going crazy. He was like, I need this jacket, but I need it in this color too. And then, no, but then this one is sell out too. What? No, hold on. Like, and he was like, and me, it was just the opening day. I was like, okay, calm down. It's gonna be fine. What can I do for you? And then it started from here. His name is Andrea. He's a wonderful person. And then he's like, you need to meet Marina. She's a dear friend of mine. I kind of style her here and there. And next thing you know, we style Marina Abramovich, custom-made clothes for her big comeback in China. And I went to China. And I was like, okay. So I'm here. Hello. And we were in the cover of Numero China, Art Numero. So it's really things that happen, and just this pop-up is the same thing. You know, I met Yasmin and the wonderful people from Adio was like, oh, you need to come to Abu
Why
Dhabi.
here? Why Abu Dhabi? Was it because
Frankly,
you were already popular, or you wanted to say like, hi guys, this is Frankie's shop, so to introduce them, or you had already a base of customer that...
Oh, I see them in the Paris store.
Yes.
I see them come, and I was like, okay, this is amazing, because you think...
So it's the answer to the demand, not an introduction to them.
An answer to the demand, but also, you know, the place is picked for a specific reason. I think, again, Abu Dhabi is also a place where culture, tradition is very vibrant. So I thought this is a good place for us. Frankie is never where you expect it to be all the time. So it was nice to come to, you know, people might expect you to come to Dubai. And like,
but never too much.
Exactly.
That's what it is for them. Yes.
Exactly. So again, really, like, I follow my journey, you know, where the journey takes me, I kind of go and I try to make it happen. And I think this pop-up is an expression that these group of ladies that we worked with for 3 months, oh my God, powerful ladies of the Middle East, excuse me, and look at you all, bravo. Yes, really, I'm really amazed at how we can help each other and come up with beautiful projects like this. And I hope it's just the beginning of our adventure in the Middle East, hopefully.
Yeah, and the way how it's curated, I was not in the LA pop-up, but I know a lot about that, and the way how you put then work with the local artists, local people who already represent the market there, and to combine your work with them. This is something that is very important, because again, the cultural relevance is super important. And I think everything I saw, as I said, it's so much more, and the scale is incredible. So I feel like if it's been 10 years now or 11 years that you do.
It's our 10 years anniversary.
I honestly honestly want
Watch for celebration this year.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, I know about
More coming.
Yeah. I remember. Now I remember. And my last question basically would be, what is next year, 10 years of Frankie Shop? Where do you see yourself in Frankie Shop 10 years? And I'm asking this because with all of this, the development that we are seeing, and basically it feels to me, or either maybe since I'm closer to you, I know more about the brand. Do you want to push, I'm saying in a good way, to expand the brand more, or you just let it go how it happened and make it natural, or there is ambition that to make Frankie Shop bigger, in a more global, or you just go with the flow?
I think it's a little bit of mix of both. Obviously, you got to stay relevant to stay in fashion a little bit. So you cannot rest on your laurel and think you have arrived ever. So I'm always on my toes and making sure, you know, everything we create is the right thing at the right time, without losing what makes our core collection as well. The uniform of Frankie is very dear to me, and I think it's like the first tool in your closet that are important. But in the next 10 years, I mean, I hope I can still be relevant, number one. But I also, yes, I want to be of global relevance, but I want to remain niche. I think you need to just do things step by step, not too commercial, not to dilute your product, and just open where places through meetings, through, you know, adventure, without having only a business commercial. If I had thought about money since the beginning, I don't know, maybe I would design umbrella, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you've worked in production.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know all of that.
so it's not easy.
Yes.
It's really not easy. But through hard work and love and passion of everything you do, I think you can grow slowly, organically, and in a big way too. It doesn't mean that because you go slow, you still can go big.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that can, with let's say, with the slower development, is that you can always keep the quality, which you have. And I've had lots of like these kind of touches to my clothes, and most of the, oh my God, it's such a good quality. And they say like, oh, the price is really good. So I don't know how you do. And today you showed all your total silk look that you've been wearing this morning.
Yeah.
And I touched it and it felt like the real silk. And with everything that I know, that to balance all of this, and with everything, then the taxes and the shipments and everything, which is the main killer part of the production, I don't know how you do, but if you came until this day, I'm sure we're gonna hear more and more Frankie.
Yes.
In 5 years, in 10 years, and I'm also hope, if I'm in the industry still, I can at least stay as a customer.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much. Thank you.
thank you too for having me,
you
for
for
having us.
Thank you, guys.
And we are just excited and thankful to you, and we'll be just watching, but always ready to support you and to travel the world with you all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming.